Shovick Sports Podcast. I'm Corey,
And I'm Austin.
and we have a very, very special guest with us today, a true friend of ours, Biz. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Hey, I'm doing well, man. A little tired, a little beat up from trying to do a bunch of golf swings like the Masters, but a little bit right, a little bit left.
Yeah,
One,
so
two
that
straight.
kind
You
of
never
takes
know.
us. It was a big weekend,
We
right?
out there. We live.
We're doing really well, actually. We didn't get any golf in this
How y'all
weekend,
doing?
unfortunately, but we did watch the Masters. We watched bits and pieces Thursday, Friday. We watched a little bit on Saturday, but we were really locked in on the Masters yesterday. Going into it, it was the matchup everybody was hoping to see with Bryson DeChambeau and Rory McIlroy. Rory didn't start off too hot, right? Kind of got off to a shaky start.
Yeah.
Bryson kind of, did all right. What do you love about the Masters and someone who's into golf as much as you
Mhm.
are? What is it about the Masters that just kind of draws everybody to it?
Yeah. Man, I think it's the pageantry, the history. It's one of those things where the course, where people are gonna fail, where they're gonna be, nails, where who's gonna hit well, who's gonna try to overshoot. I really enjoy, knowing what you're gonna see, getting those big names out there, seeing what they can do. Loving Amen Corner. I like to look at the feature groups and see how many balls go in the water. It's really one of those that you see the greatness and how people are playing, but then you also see hey, it's golf out there, and it's any given day. One day you're eagle, and then the next day you're like triple bogey. Fun betting experience, and just all of it together, man. It's a spectacle. It makes a golfer
I'm
out
really
of you.
glad that you haven't
Want to hop
mentioned,
up and go
all the
play
water
once it's
shots
over,
that I've put in the water. Being your golf partner every few months that we've been out, and the amount of golf balls that I lose in general. So thank you. I'll go ahead and mention it now. I do lose quite a bit to water.
Yeah.
The fun question here, real quick: if you were to play at Augusta, what do you think you're shooting in one round?
Yeah. Oh man. I try to hey, which tees we hitting off of? That's the truth. I just dink it down the fairway, man. I try to keep it under 100, man. My best, I probably try to play bogey golf. I try to always shoot around bogey golf because, my dad, he brought me up playing the game. So, he always told me that bogey golf is good golf because you're only one off of taking down the course. So, I'm probably trying to shoot for bogey golf, protecting my ball, trying to bring home the same ball that I went out with. And trying to play within myself. Just think it down the fairway.
Let's look, because Roy, first
Hope
off,
it don't go in the water.
Obviously, it was a roller coaster of a round for him. I think at one point he peaked at 14 under, which is absolutely wild to think about him.
Yeah.
And then Bryson kind of tailed off.
Yeah.
And Rory even kind of tailed off himself and even dropped down to third or even tied for second at some point. Then something kind of clicked. There was 5 or 6 approach shots on the back nine that anyone can dream of, right? Just have a nice approach shot, especially where he was hitting it from in the pine straw, out of the bunkers. Some of these shots, it's like, I think my brother even made a comment. He's like, well, maybe we need to quit having drops when we play and try to actually hit it out of the pine straws, because Rory's, and even Scotty Scheffler had a couple that were out of the pine straws, and these guys were just absolutely crushing the ball. And then I think he was either the 17th, I think it was the 16th or 17th, Roy had a shot, and he's talking to it as it's hit. And I'm thinking, oh man, does he not think it's a good shot? Is he talking to it for certain reason? And the dude drops it within 3 feet.
Yeah.
But I'm telling my brother, I'm like, he's around the way that the back nine's been going, he's gonna mess this putt up. That's just kind of how it had been going for him the last few holes. He gets up there. I think it was a birdie, or I think it was a birdie chance. and he completely missed it. And I think what he thought, and even the announcers were saying, hey, this is a little tricky. And you being a golfer, trying to read a green, it may look like it's breaking, but it's not. It's like you play it to break left or right, and it stays straight. And I think that's what happened to Rory on that hole. Was even the announcer says, hey, this isn't going to break left. But then when you watch him play, he thought it was going to go left, and it was just straight. So give the listeners maybe an idea of how hard it can be, especially when you're in a situation like the Masters, of what it is actually like to read a green.
Man, you stick with what you know. I've read some books on it. I've read, some magazine articles about it. You're trying to pay attention to the scenery around you, blades of the grass on the floor, on the green. I've even heard, walking up and looking at the cup and seeing which way they're cutting. That gives an indicator. There's plenty of ways of going about it, but the real thing is to stay within yourself, stay composed. I miss a ton of short putts. Me and my dad, we were out playing on Sunday, and I think we made a moniker. We just started yelling out ice cream and softy and Slurpee and like things that melt. It's like you get the putter in your hand and you start taking it back, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna do something wrong, and you get timid and you just melt. The real thing is, I like the video game aspect of it. Playing video games my whole life, playing PGA Tour, playing Tiger Woods back in the day. You kind of see out there like a grid, and then you just pick a spot that's like within your sight line, and you focus on putting it there. And if you put it to your line, at least you gave it your best effort, instead of trying to look at how far it is away. Focus on a little space and aim close, miss close. And usually tends to go pretty well.
We've all seen me out there trying to do anything on a golf course. I just have a good time. But, one thing I think that kind of helped Rory bounce back towards the end, you can call me petty if you want. People who've listened to us before, not going to be surprised it's coming from my mouth. But I actually think what got Rory back on track was seeing Bryson melt down. We know there's a little rivalry going there. There's been some dialogue between the two. And I think Rory kind of enjoyed someone else having that massive breakdown, and it was, the dude he was paired with. I truly believe that's what got Rory back on track, which, look, he's never going to say it, but like deep down inside, I'm like, him being able to see Bryson be that person,
I can see that.
Truly helped him get back. So I not saying that Bryson deserves a little bit of this Masters victory, but like, I do believe he played a huge part in it.
Yeah, and I think that's why we all wanted to see those two together, right? Because it's always the history between both those guys is fairly similar. Obviously, Bryson is not as accomplished as Rory, with Rory getting, now the Grand Slam. But there's been plenty of tournaments that I've watched with Bryson where he's had a lead or he's up there towards the top. And really with him, it's the aspect of one bad shot kind of derails his whole rest of his round. And there were a couple shots yesterday that I thought maybe it was going to get Bryson back on point, right? But he was almost identical to what Rory was doing. It's just Rory was able to get himself out of certain situations that Bryson just seemingly couldn't. And Bryson's one of the better, obviously with the drives, but Rory was actually putting some dick into some of those drives as well. Yeah. Like there was one that went 371, and we were like, holy shit, like we would love to go 371. I would love to go 300.
Yeah.
Let alone, I don't know how I would handle going 371.
Yeah.
But again, I do agree with the aspect of,
I'm telling you.
Yeah,
I'm telling
it's crazy. So I do agree with
Two
the pairing matters, and I think that's what everyone wanted. Now, do I think the same would have came if he would have been paired with like Justin Rose? I'm not sure, because Justin Rose actually had a really good round yesterday after kind of, the first 2 days, Justin Rose was on point, kind of had a letdown, but then he yesterday he knew he was feeling it. He was doing everything he needed to do.
Yeah.
It kind of sucks that he wasn't, you're sitting there in the driving range kind of waiting to see what happens. Obviously something that we'll never experience because obviously we're not going to be there. But, what did, in your opinion, oh, right. So in your opinion,
hey, we might have a playoff. We never know.
As Rory's going through this and he sees himself giving up a lead that was, getting kind of big, what do you think Rory's mindset was in probably those last, 4 or 5 holes leading up to the playoff?
Yep. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I saw him a couple times. He looked back at the scoreboard, and he was focused on it. It was in the back of his head. I think it was just a willingness to give his best shot. He's been in many a times like this before. Staying within himself, I think that was a big one. I laugh about it. He had a mission, and it was to not be one up by the daughter sinking that 40-foot putt. So he had to bring it home. But I think he was just. I mean, she just stood there like, well, what's everybody cheering for? I do this every day. But staying within himself, keeping composure, and just believing you can get it done. I think he truly thought he could get it done. I watched a little interview with Jack Nicklaus before, and he said he sat down with Rory, not too much to talk about golf, but just to sit down and have a dinner with him. And he asked him, look, how you think you're going to do out there? And he said that he went shot for shot all 4 days. And he said, if he does that, then he's going to win. And Jack gave him the sign off of confident. I think he could pull it out. So I think he stayed within himself and just played to the best of his abilities.
So
and
from the sounds of it, you think the mental aspect is a pretty big part of a golf game. How big do you think your 100%? Right? It's something to think about, right? Like 100%. All these dudes have the talent, right? Like at their best, they're all elite. 90%. I mean, they made it here for a reason. So maybe the mentality, the mindset, the mental part of the game. I agree. It probably is a really big part of the game, and that's why I even noticed what like I saw him peeping that scoreboard a couple times, and I'm like, man, like that's another thing in the Masters, right? Like they change those scores, and the whole crowd goes wild, and then like you catch yourself peeping on a couple of those, and it really mess with the mindset. So yeah, I was gonna say a lot of things you're saying sounded like you were talking like your mental state, your mindset, and I'm like, yeah, that's probably more in golf than a lot of sports is how are you feeling mentally? So
yeah,
yep,
because you're playing yourself.
Nope, that's good. I agree.
You're not really playing anybody else. You're playing yourself.
And with his win yesterday, he now becomes the 6th player to ever win the Grand Slam. So pull up a list here. So he joins a pretty dang good list of guys who have done this, right? So you had Gene Sarzin, Ben Hogan, Gary Player, Jack Nicklaus. Obviously, Jack is kind of that's one of the guys that I associated with golf before I even got into golf. Was everyone knew who Jack Nicklaus was, and then obviously Tiger, and Tiger was our childhood.
Yep.
And seeing him and Phil, battle it out, it was always Tiger. But yeah, dude is so. Now he gets to put himself. He etches himself with those guys. Mm-hmm. What does this now mean for Rory's legacy?
I think there's more to come. I think he's a bit unleashed. I think we could see a Rory unhinged now, where that was a big hump to get over, a big hurdle. All of the conversations when he was younger was, you're the next Tiger, you're the next big thing. And this is one of those that puts you there. So now I think we can see, a carefree Rory, 35 years old, I believe. He's got a lot of golf left to play. And I think that now that you've gotten over that hump, you can go out there and just try to get as much as you can. He's a homer. He's PGA all the way. So I think there's more in store for him. I think that it's back to back now. There's not many of them that have done back to back. I think I looked up. I think it was Nick Faldo. I think Jack Nicklaus got a back to back. I want to see a back to back in my time, so I can figure out if it do you just turn around and you give a jacket back to yourself? Like who
Does
gives
it go
you a
back to being
jacket when you win it
Scotty,
back to back?
like the last winner
Gotta
that
figure
wasn't
that
you?
out. Somebody chime in on that one. That sounds like he's just like double coated.
So it sounds like what you're saying, like with the mental aspect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it sounds like you think that
Just
the
with the
mental
eye
aspect
roll.
is what's going to clear him up, like mentally, right? Like
Yeah.
now there's kind of what you also said. There's no quote unquote mission, right? Now we can just go golf.
Yeah.
Clears him up
a ton. Yeah. Now you can just golf because you're one of the six, etched in stone. The video games, the sponsorships, all of that, it all came to fruition when he got over that hump, because like that puts you in the Mount Rushmore, and it's just a growing Mount Rushmore at that point. So that's how I feel about that one. I don't know if I lost the feed there. You all still there? No, I guess still live here. If we are still live, they lost internet for a minute, so we'll probably be back on shortly. I'll circle up. Oh, they're telling me to keep on going. All right, so I guess it's the bandwagon busy show. So a little bit more on that I had about it. At least I could talk about it for a little bit. There was Oberg. I had a horse in the race. I really liked Oberg's game. I thought that he was one that was surging towards the end. When he got going, I think he got to like 10 under. He was, really grinding it out. I believe that his time is going to come too. I think he's one of those next big things as well. I've seen Brooks and Rahm. I don't know if the money got to him. I don't know what happens when you get these big deals, but I've consistently seen them crumble. My dad told me when I told him I put Brooks in that.
Yeah, appreciate you keeping us going, big guy. Look at you going.
No way he's going to last through 4 rounds. I think we got you back there, huh? I was like going live. I was like, I guess I'm still live here. Yeah. I'm trying to keep it going. I'm giving some insiders here on Brooks and Rahm and the live golf jump. I'm consistently seeing them not be in contention in these big events, and I'm like, I don't know if it's a gas thing, if it's the money thing. We talk about the mental aspect, and now that you got they backed up the Brinks truck on you, man. Like, are you complacent with not finishing? Are you complacent with missing the cut?
And that's a good point.
I don't see it. I'm losing bets on them. I'll say that.
That's a good point. And you got it.
The other side note that I got
really
from
well.
it.
And
again,
sorry for the internet issues. That's actually the first time that's happened to us. But those live guys, like I can remember before those guys joined the live tour, John Rahm and Brooks Koepka were always in the top 5, top 10 running. There was a time where I thought John Rahm was going to just shoot up, right, and take over because he had such a good golf game. And then he leaves, goes to the live, and you don't really hear about him much anymore. And then in the major tournaments that the PGA does let these guys play in, he's always near the bottom and or missing the cut. So do you think what do you think is the money part of it, But I don't think that would really affect your golf game that much, right?
Yeah. I speak about it. I'll say something. It's something to see, when you're young and you're hungry and you don't have anything in the way but chasing the money. Things do tend to change, when you start having other goals in life, family goals, where you built that family and monetary goals. You reach that milestone that kind of take that fire away. You talk about a fighter, a boxer, UFC fighter, something like that, where once you're there, you're at the top. If you're not continuously setting goals for where you want to be, if it was to be top end because that means I can make the most money and you get the most money, then what is there to fight for afterwards? I think they got to dig down and see if
I agree with
they,
that.
they
I
still
think
got some life.
the
They still got
drive
some fight
may not
left in
quite
them,
be as there. I do think the stamina comes in a little bit. The 4-day grind, kind of haven't done that for a while. But I think the passion for it is a big thing because no matter how you feel about Bryson, that dude always has the passion out there on the golf course. Like, that's never going to change, whether he's in Live, the PGA, some junior freaking beer league that he does every Wednesday. Like, the dude is passionate about golf. But I think for the rest, it's spot on. Like, I think they showed John Rahm once when we were watching. He was like +4 or whatever, and I'm like, holy shit, wasn't this guy good at one point? So I think it's spot on with, you kind of established everything. So what's driving you now? Now Bryson's kind of the unicorn because that dude, he's passionate. He's probably passionate about everything he does, not just golf, but especially golf. So they backed up that Brinks truck. You kind of lost your drive, like you kind of settled into everything you wanted at that point. So I'm curious to see. I don't know. Do you ever hope that they kind of merge, or they get these guys back and become kind of whole again, or yeah?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I want to see cross continent tournaments. I want to see a combination. Throw in the TGL in there, where we have a little bit of virtual added into the mix too.
And especially
golf is fun. So yeah, the more the better. That I believe that there might be talks. I don't want to quote, but I think that there might be talks of like Ryder Cup style with Live and PGA.
you can hit them with our usual.
I read off to the
we're
side,
not insiders and have no inside
good
information
competition as well.
But we have read this or seen this, and I've kind of read some of the same things. And I think with how much golf is kind of, I don't know if I'd say it's blowing up. Maybe just because I'm getting older now, and golf kind of becomes the old person game, I guess. But I think when you have any sport, you just want all the best competition to be with the best competition. Try to do what you can to not have them split up. So I'm with you. I hope there's some kind of merger or where we can just get them all together because, like, honestly, we deserve to see all the best players play each other as much as possible. Not just like a major championship here or there. But year round, we deserve to potentially see the Rory McIlroy and Bryson DeChambeau kind of drama unfold. Not just at the Masters. So, yeah, I'm with you on that one. I hope we see some kind of merger or Riders Cup type thing that kind of brings them all together.
So with Rory winning yesterday and winning the Masters, does he overtake Scotty now, or are you still taking Scotty over Rory?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it kind of sucked watching him play.
Free Scotty
throughout the week.
It was you talk about the winners, but he was right there, 4th place. He was 3rd until I want to say Patrick Reed, closed with an eagle, right in the crunch of things too. I believe it was like you heard the roar, and then Rory had to step up and putt. So it was close. Games can get the game can get sticky towards the end. I tell you, the thing that I also want to applaud is Freddie Couples. I believe 65, 66, making the cut. It's one of those where I know next year I'm going to be betting on Freddie Couples to at least make the cut, at least the first 2 rounds. I'll get my underdog bets in, and I'll be running, under 72.5, under 71.5. I'll be marking him on greens and regulations because they play the same course every year. So, they got that marked off on the calendar, dialed up. Freddie Couples is my one to run with next year to try to get a leg up. As soon as you all are back in, I think we'll probably shift over. But I definitely am going to run with Freddie, some of the old timers, some of these career long, whole career to the end golfers, because they definitely showed up. And Justin Rose, can't leave Justin Rose out. The best professional there is a tie or runner up that is poised and thanking the other guy. So definitely a shout out to Justin Rose. That's 3 second place finishes. That
we appreciate
he wanted that one badly.
I think there's a little internet issue in the area, so.
I just closed on some Freddie.
Everyone just soak in the biz information you're getting.
I gave him some more insider information.
So
gotta get that hotspot going.
That's my guy.
So the last thing on this is
the plug on Freddie Couples.
He did really well, but the last thing on the golf part is
I'm like first 2 rounds.
Now we kind of transitioned to Bryson DeChambeau and how he's been so dang close, right? So is he going to get over the hump, and is it going to be within the next couple of years?
Mm-hmm. He's along, and I think he has an understanding of what he is when he's playing well. 2 interviews I heard were him talking about, the last major, and if he has that swing, he feels like he can beat anybody. If he knows what he has to do and he has the ability to still do it, I could see him blowing up. His name's always at the top of the leaderboard. He's hitting it further than everybody else. I remember one in particular. I called it out. I was messaging, my buddies from the Dynasty sports that I play. Did he just yell out, what do you yell out? Stop, bite. He's yelling out, bite, hitting a 7-iron for 205 yards. I'm like, how far are you hitting this 7-iron that you're talking about, bite and check? I think he hit it like 220 or something like that. Ridiculous. And I'm like, if you can hit your 7-iron 220, you're going to keep on blowing up.
Oh, gosh, yeah. Let's transition over to the next topic.
You'll miss a lot of water. It's been
kind of running course over the last week or two. That's the NIL and what the NIL is doing to college sports right now. I'll make my stance right away saying I do think players should be paid. I do think there's a need for it. Yeah. But there is also a need to have a better thing in place instead of it just being the wild, wild west and what it's doing to the game. So I'll go ahead and let you guys kind of give your thoughts on what NIL has been doing and kind of where you see it. And maybe even if you have like a suggestion on where you think it should go. And we'll start with you, Biz.
Yeah, I don't have it all all dialed in, all together on where it should be. I think it's good for collegiate sports. I think it gives players opportunities, especially some of those that, their pro sport doesn't allow them to make the compensation that you need to live a happy, healthy life. So I know that there's a place there for it. I think that it also sets a precedent for highlighting which colleges, which universities favor sports that they favor. It sets a place for the SEC that's very football driven. That leaves a door open for the schools like UConn, schools like Syracuse, and those that are really focused on basketball and other athletics. Those that are playing hockey, you have your Minnesota that playing hockey. Those schools can put money into investing into their big name players. I think that there needs to be some sort of tiering system, some sort of something in place to make sure that it's at least balanced and not 97% of the funds are going towards one sport, one set of athletes, because, everybody's out there representing these universities and they're trying to do it to the best of their abilities. The dreams were being made from them going to the university and being able to represent them, and for them to be a star player, for them to be a part of a great team and not get the compensation that others are, and getting to choose and jump wherever they want to. It's
and I agree.
not just right.
These athletes, student athletes, athlete students, whatever you want to call them now, I agree. They deserve compensation. And to your point, across all sports, I know it's becoming more and more like professional when we're talking money and contracts. So these schools' argument is like, we're going to put the money into what brings the money in. At this point, you're just running a semi-pro organization or entity per se. So something does have to be done. Because the first step was taken in getting them paid. That's awesome, but you also have a bunch of teenagers out here who are, let's be honest, probably shouldn't be in charge of whether they make $2 million or $2.3 million. I know I wouldn't have been ready for that at age 18, 19, 20. You're starting to see schools like North Carolina. They have a front office, so they legitimately have like a professional kind of setup within their university, and it's honestly probably smart for them. But something does have to be done so you don't keep seeing the same things as this Nico Iamaleava. I don't know how you actually say his name, but that's how it's spelled out. It's kind of fitting, so that's how I say it. But you're going to run into the problem of schools are just going to be like, we're paying you $2 million. That's what you agreed upon. So show up or shut up type deal. And now I think you're going to start just seeing just basically schools release players. I think Corey said it. It's the wild, wild west, and you can't have it operate like that. So something has to be done to avoid situations like this. I think, to your point, something also needs to be done to get it across all athletes of all sports for all schools, because it's honestly it's a professional sport now. Players getting paid.
Yeah, definitely.
There's basically free agency every year. Half the KU basketball roster left. We got one back, but after each year, why wouldn't you leave and basically test your market? I mean, that's what you do in free agency, right? I'm just going to test my market. If I come back, I come back. So I don't know. There's a lot of tweaks, and it's still relatively new. I just hope that we're able to get to a good solution quicker than later, because right now it's it's I don't want to say it's an unsafe business, but it's not a well put together business. Like the business model would be thrown in the trash if we were talking about anything that wasn't sports. Like you take this to someone at like, okay, yeah, we're not going to accept this business plan. Not a chance. So something has to be done. I am on board. I do think people need paid, but there's got to be a plan somewhere to do something.
Yeah, and now you're seeing football teams who don't even want to do their spring games anymore, right? It's why would we want to do a spring game for teams to be able to see what our guys have and then reach out to our players, or vice versa? The guys maybe don't like where they're playing in the spring game. They're the third or fourth string guys or second string guy that thinks he should be a starter. So now it's like, let's just do a showcase and go from there. So it's already ruining certain traditions. So you're seeing it in the not so hot light. And if you're going to have teams start finding GMs like North Carolina, I think Andrew Luck's the GM for Stanford football as well. If you're going to do that, you might as well just, sign him to an actual contract. I think I heard pretty much a good proposition earlier when I was listening to one of the sports talks at work.
Right.
They said, why not just sign a young man or a lady to a 2-year, $6 million deal at this point? Hey, you're guaranteed you're going to play your freshman, sophomore year here. You're going to get X amount. After that, you're free to go wherever the hell you want, or the pros, wherever. And the more I think about that, I mean, I think that might be what you have to do. It's ruining the game. I don't like how it's taking away from the high school kids too, right? High school seniors getting ready to go to college, make the jump to the college level. You have a guy who wants to go to Duke to play, and now I don't know. I signed, I'm going, and then all of a sudden I have a coach who says, well, we're actually going to take this, junior or senior from NC State.
Well, you can even use this example, right? Let's just say Duke has a big-time high school commit at quarterback, thinking he's going to get a legit shot.
Yeah.
Well, now, we're this deep in, and let's just say Duke goes out and signs Nico. Well, now that high school kid, his life is now changed, right? He was coming in expecting to have a legitimate shot, but now Duke's going to pay this guy $5 million a year, or reach it, whatever he's demanding. Now this dude, now he has to decide, can I stick it out, wait behind this guy for that 2 or 3 years? Like, I made a decision as a 17, 18-year-old to come here and give you my all, and I may not have an NIL deal, right? I may not be that level of player to have a big deal. And now you bring in a Nico. Now that kind of like the snowball effect. It ruins the high school guy too.
Yeah, and we'll get your thoughts on kind of, let's say you're getting recruited.
Yeah.
And you make that decision.
Hey.
Yeah. Are you going to make demands on money? Yeah. So when Biz
get this money.
And see, that kind of takes away from the love of the game, right? Like,
you already heard him get this money.
Baseball, it's always teaching the kids the love of the game. Love the game, play the game the correct way. Good things are going to come your way. Now all of a sudden it's, well, if I'm not going to get paid, why am I going? So like they're automatically shows me as a college coach or scout, their mind's not in the right place. So give us a recruiting pitch, basically, and how you would get a high school kid to maybe come to your school.
Yeah, I thought this was going a different way. If I was, you said if I was the coach.
Yeah.
If I was a coach, saying let's just put the John Schreier hat on. It's really in the position. There's only so much money. Well, there's money that you can make, and there's more money that you can make if you have the right coaches, if you have the right developers, if you have the right people behind you, the right people backing you, people helping to promote you in a positive manner and put you in the limelight. My sell will be on, we're going to be the right people for you to get to where you're going. I turn around the focus on not where you're going or what you're going to do for us, but what we can do for you, where we can get you to the next level. There's going to be money if you're coming to a high profile place. Even in a low profile place, it's about the development of the player themselves. My pitch would be focused on taking care of you and your family and helping guide you into the growing athlete that you're going to become. It's not all about money. I was playing with the money thing. I thought you were gonna. I want money too, but it's one of those, it takes money to make money kind of thing, where you got to put an investment in yourself, and we're that investment that you're putting in yourself to get to the next level. And hopefully, if I'm representing the university, we had a damn good track record, behind us to do so. But if we were to twist those around, I would say the proper route would be to treat it like the minor league system, where the recruits that are coming in focus on the non-Power 5 conferences and get you that time to get you that showcase. And then, since the money's the Wild Wild West and they're willing to pay people year over year, get your highlight videos up, get your film up, show what you can do, and get that playing time, and then transition to one of those bigger schools and then showcase your talents at that level. That's where I see it going. So my focus would probably be to explain to the young talent that's coming in that we're recruiting that is the way that the league that we're in is going, where we're going to be looking for those players from the mid-major schools to be the leaders of our teams, and we're going to be looking for you to learn from them, and develop from them. And if that's not the fit for you, then
I look and I think
you gotta take a look in the mirror, because
the Nico situation with Tennessee, right? Like, you're the quarterback, you're sitting here asking for money, but I can go put on your and watch your film, and you're very average.
Mm-hmm.
You're very average. You're an average quarterback in the SEC. That's not to say you couldn't go to like a Big 12 or an ACC school and do well,
Mm-hmm.
right? But SEC money is a little different than Big 12 money, Big 10 money. Maybe not Big 10. Big 10 may be able to compete with it, but I just think this whole thing of, you don't truly know your worth, right? I get it. You may think, I'm playing Tennessee, one of the better SEC schools. I know they have money, when the fact of the matter is they don't.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily have the money, right? They have 84 other players, and I think that's why the ball's on Josh Heupel. I love it. I'm absolutely a huge fan of him saying, if you don't want to be here, then don't be here. We don't have time. It's not fair to the other guys on the team. And there may be guys on the team who want money too, but they also realize my time will come at some point. Put the work in, put the hard, the effort. The NFL will give you some good money. The endorsements will get you some really good money. But for a quarterback like this to ask for that kind of money, who's very, very average at best, it's just mind blowing to me. And then it makes you question, why are we letting 18, 19, 20-year-olds make this kind of decision about a large amount of money? And do you have any disagreements, or what's your thoughts on that?
No, I love what Josh Heupel did. Look, you were already making $2 million as an average quarterback for us. Like, be a team player, but I mean, I don't know about y'all, but like, KU came knocking on my door and was like, "Look, dude, we can only give you $1 million per year to play for us." I'm like, "All right, like, I'm yours for 4 years, maybe 6 if I fail my couple years or whatever." But like, and that's the part of it that I don't enjoy. It could be because I saw it a lot with this KU team. Like, we just, you don't see those players who are in love with the name on the front of their jersey. That's always what made college sports special for me watching, is like, especially like back in those like Nebraska days where half
Yeah,
their
I can
roster
agree
were
with
like
that.
the walk-ons because they would literally like run through a hurricane just to put on that Nebraska jersey. Like you just don't see that anymore. And I noticed that with the KU team basketball team this year. Like it was just a bunch of dudes who like just weren't interested, right? Like
Hmm.
they got their money in the off season to come be here. They don't care anymore. We'll hit free agency again, whatever. And so like I don't hate the fact that they're chasing the bag. Like get your money whenever, wherever you can, but no one's enough is enough. But also
Hmm.
don't lose the love of the game. Like you're at a program like KU or Duke or another big one. Uh, sorry, Bobby just hit a solo home run against the Yankees, so kind of made me happy. But uh, it's just knowing enough is enough, and you don't have to quit loving the game. Like there is a career after this for you to make even more money if you just still give a shit. Like take your little appetizer money from us, prove that you're good, let us develop you, still bust your ass,
Yeah.
and you'll make 100 times this at the next level or even overseas. Overseas people get paid, and you can make really good careers doing that. So like just the aspect of that for me is it's way less about that like you. It's way
Hmm.
less about that Duke on the front and way more about that name on the back. And that's one reason I love Cooper Flag. Like I don't like Duke, but like watching Duke play, there was never a time where Cooper Flag wasn't going
Yeah.
100%. And so that's where my respect for him came. But you're seeing less of that, and that's what I don't enjoy with all of it. They deserve to get paid.
Yeah.
Let's put a
I
cap
mean,
on it.
to the
Let's
walls. Yeah.
let's not let them complain from 2 million to 3 million a year. Like, let's figure this out because I want to see some love in the game still.
And to kind of wrap up the NIL talk real quick. Oh, go ahead. So just
Yeah. And the wild thing behind it. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. I was gonna say the wild thing behind it is there's endorsements and there's sponsorships and there's all kinds of things. Every time you turn on a big event, you see like Flaw J Johnson from LSU. She's in like every commercial. Um, there's other ways to make a ton of money, and it
Yep.
should. Yeah, we should cap it off because that shouldn't be the bread and butter. It's name, image, and likeness, and you got to be out there grinding to make your money as well. There's tons of opportunity that's right for the taking. So, um, yeah, it's not.
and I
We
think the
should put a
most
cap
frustrating
on that
part
and
of this
focus
is you're
more
seeing
on
guys who are on their
like
third
how
or
you
fourth,
can promote
fifth school
yourself.
already, right? It's like think of it as like I love my job, I love what I do, but and
Mm-hmm.
I get it's easy for us to sit here and say we're not going to chase the money. Obviously, we would all leave our jobs to get paid.
Yeah. If my biggest competitor came and said $2 million, all right, dude. Like I do, I enjoy my job, whatever. But peace.
But I don't like that comparison in the fact of you're still in school, right? You're here. You shouldn't go to your fourth or
See
fifth
ya.
school by that time, right? Like I get it, and then the argument to that is, well, coaches can leave. Okay, well, they're also not in school, right?
Yeah.
This is their career. They're going to coach. They're going to do what they need to. I think you got to limit how many times a kid can transfer, right? Bring
Yeah.
back the old. If you transfer, you're sitting out a year. Like that's how it's got to be, right? You can't go from KU to Wisconsin to St. John to Syracuse all in that stretch of
Yeah.
time just because you want to get more money.
Oof.
Like you can go KU to St. John and play, but if you go KU St. John to Duke, if you're transferring that third time, you're losing a year. Like you have to lose a year. Like you got to set a tone and set a limit on what they can
Yeah.
do.
Yeah,
So
and Biz hit it on the
Yeah.
mark, and it made me think of it. Like, you got to be out there. This is NIL. You got to put yourself out there. What we're seeing not all. There's some ones who are probably doing right by the system, but Nico, for example, uh, he was turning down his autograph sessions and everything he was supposed to do. That was part of the NIL. Like they're chasing the money purely because they think that's their worth on the field. But you were spot
Right.
on when you said it's name, image, likeness. You have to put yourself out there. So I think if you don't put yourself out there, the NIL part of this, then we have every right to not even pay you. You're here asking for more. You should be stuck with us for not upholding your end of the deal, and we don't have to honor our money part of the contract because you didn't honor your part of the contract. So I think there's some guidelines and regulations to be put into this because you're supposed to, you're supposed to put yourself out there. So if you don't, that's on you. We're not paying you to quarterback for us. Yeah, that's the main reason we're going to do this for you. But you still have to put yourself out there and basically advertise for us. So yeah, I saw he was blowing off meetings and blowing off autograph sessions and just not doing anything. And I'm like, bro, that's 95% of the reason you got your deal was to advertise for us.
Did you got anything else on the old NIL before we move on?
Right. No. I had something, but it shot by. I might yell it out down the road, but when it comes to I know what it was. It was what are the thoughts on chasing, instead of chasing the money, they might be chasing the legacy as well. I see teams like, talking about power teams, you're talking about pairing with somebody else so that you look better. I could see that also as an opportunity as well. You see a couple of recruits that stayed behind. You see Jeremy Roach was one that I saw, that he saw the writing on the wall here, so he wouldn't try to pair himself somewhere else. I don't know if Caleb Love was jumping for the money or the opportunity, seeing something over here at UNC, and then like, I need to jump over here where they got better players, better opportunity to try to win.
There's got to be a limit to what they're doing. They're still kids, right? And you don't know what they have to do. Is it a loan? Is this something that's, they're going to have to pay back double, essentially, when they do, if they do make it to the pros? Like, I don't know if financially they're smart enough quite yet.
Bro, I'm a grown-ass man, and I don't think I know. So, let alone this, right?
So I think there's got to be stuff that they do to get it right, because you would hate to see a young college athlete take $1.5 million, but then they're banking on themselves getting to the league, and then they have to pay like $3.5 million back, right? Or 2.5, whatever it is, because then what happens if you get hurt? What happens if you do, maybe you kind of fizzle out and you're not in the right situation, and you don't end up making it to the league? Now what are you going to do? So you're kind of setting yourself up for failure. That's basically. So I just, again, to put that kind of pressure on 18, 19, 20-year-olds with that kind of money, you got to have a better thing in place as far as
like a foundation, right? Like somewhere to start, some guidelines, foundation, something. Because I love when you said, I think Wild Wild West was the perfect analogy for that. Like, that's what it is right now.
Some structure.
It's a free for all. Schools don't have. They have probably a little bit of power, but for the most part, like, everyone's just running wild, and it could. I guess some people as a fan might enjoy it. I'm not one of them, so I agree. Something has to be done, and I'm sure something will be done. Right? It's still early stages, but something will be done somewhere, and then we'll have something else to complain about of how this isn't right.
And now, moving on to our last topic, a thing that I never thought we would talk about on this show
ever,
without just kind of mentioning the Dallas Cowboys. Our friend here is a Cowboys fan. How about them Cowboys?
It's their year.
It's their we them boys.
How about you? How about them?
Until it starts.
Hey.
Biz provided us with his Mount Rushmore Dallas Cowboys.
Every year's a good year.
Aikman, number 1, Emmitt Smith, Staubach at 3, and Michael Irvin 4. And I thought Irvin was going to be up there a little higher, honestly. Yeah, dude, I don't see anything wrong, honestly, with this 4 on the Mount Rushmore, bro. What's your initial thoughts on?
It's close to what I thought he'd have. I absolutely hate it. And Biz, let me tell you why before you like end our friendship. I'm a defensive guy. Cowboys have had some legendary defensive players over the year, man. Like, there's too many offensive players on this list. Like,
All
Give me
right.
some Charles Haley. Give me some
I'm a
Deion
defensive guy.
Sanders. Throw a little Leon Lett if you want to, even with all the blunders.
Yeah.
Like, you got to have at least one defensive player on the list,
I
man.
feel you.
Yeah. Oh, Broncos
Yeah.
legend.
Broncos legend.
Broncos legend.
Broncos legend DeMarcus Ware.
Yeah, you can throw DeMarcus Ware in there too. Yeah, you can throw DeMarcus Ware in there too. He had some
So
good
now
years.
that we see,
Yeah. Oh man.
we see your Mount Rushmore. Of I mean, there was a time where the Cowboys were running shot.
Yes.
I'll be the first to admit there was a time where the Cowboys were
decades ago
were the team. Are there anyone on the current roster? Literally, yeah. Is there anyone on the current roster now maybe has a chance to add to this legacy and end up on here maybe in the next 10 years?
10 years. You know, at the rate Michael Parsons is going, you can see him getting there. But you got, you know, this list is this Rushmore is about the history of the Cowboys. It's there for a reason. It's about the trophies. You know, it's really about the nostalgia that builds when you talk about the Dallas Cowboys name, when you talk about America's team. I know people don't like to hear that narrative anymore, but it really goes back to, you know, Roger back in the day was dual threat quarterback, you know, in a time where there really wasn't that, and all of the success that they had back in that time. You can't mention the Dallas Cowboys name without mentioning Troy Aikman, Emmitt Smith, Michael Irvin, the 3 Super Bowl rings. I believe that Deion should be in that list. He definitely had a huge part of the 90s success, but he was a walking highlight. He played for multiple teams. You go and look up a Deion Sanders highlight film compilation. You're going to see Atlanta Falcons. You're going to see San Francisco, got a Super Bowl with them. You're going to see Super Bowl with us. You're going to see a ton of highlights from the various teams he played on. I believe he played on 5 teams total. I have to look that up, but there's more history behind it. But I go back to it's an opinion based. It's on my childhood. When I fell in love with the Cowboys, when I was watching, it was Troy, it was Emmett, it was Michael Irvin. And I didn't know all the names on the back. I didn't understand it. I was a late 80s baby, so it was happening while I was growing. But I know I had a little football in my hand and I was running around watching Troy, Emmett, and Michael Irvin go hard in the 90s. So it really sits there with me as to why those 3 synonymous all together in the list on the Mount Rushmore, and then you drop back to you know, the historic run that they had back in, you know, back in the past Tom Landry days. Those are
so we just
some key moments in the Dallas Cowboys history. But I hear you. I am not an offensive guy. I hate quarterbacks, but that was my saying in high school. It was like, I hate quarterbacks. But that list is
so I just want everyone
with
to
Dallas Cowboys. When you
thank
think of
Biz
them,
for being our third co-host tonight. We got booted one more time, so I think even our shows like Why Are We Talking Cowboys? We're out type deal. No, yeah, for tuning you up, getting you on here, but
you tuned me
I want
up.
to ask because I'm a fan of what most people aren't, like the defenses, trenches, and everything. Is it too soon, or do you think once it's not as fresh that someone like Zach Martin could hop into Mount Rushmore of Dallas Cowboys? I mean, to me, I know you think of these other guys as the Cowboys. Like, for me, like a lot of the recent success doesn't happen without like Travis Frederick, Zach Martin, and some of those like Tyron Smith type, like the maulers up front. So I'm just curious if someone like that could make your Mount Rushmore,
Tyron Smith,
or even deserve it.
Yeah. I, I dislike Mount Rushmore more so than
Exactly.
having a top 5, top 10 list because it kind of cuts off. It's like the 1 is the loneliest number. I feel like 4 is the loneliest number. Whenever we start talking
Not on
about
Shovick
sports,
Sports, baby.
there's always the fifth person in there that's just like that throws a wrench in all of it. Um, history will tell, but
right.
I don't like to make it all about Super Bowls. I don't like to make it all about individual stats. I don't like to go too far into that. I don't see him making it in there because that era was one where there was promise, every year is our year. That we had so much hope. They upheld the legacy of the Cowboys name. Jason Witten, you want to throw him in there as well. They held up the legacy of the Cowboys name in the trenches, running that rock. It was one cut running back offense, and then straight to the house. I believe that they have a place. If you wanted to do Mount Rushmore of off up by positions, we could get into that. You talk about basketball, we talk about like the Mount Rushmore of the big men versus the Mount Rushmore. I think there's a place in there for it, but
yeah.
The 4 have rings.
No, I always try to bring up defense and the big uglies whenever I can. So, even through the years, I don't know, as much as I love those positions, if I would ever put one in kind of the top 4 / Mount Rushmore of a team, just for what you said, right? Like, at this point, there's been so much history, specifically with the Cowboys, that, I mean, for sure the 4 you named are almost the first 4 people I do think of when I think of Cowboys, at least historically. Recently, I just think of, like, Jerry Jones and the Shit Show. But other than that, like, your players, I would agree. I'd probably remove. Yeah. See, for me, I'd probably remove Roger Staubach
us
just because
geriatrics.
I don't know. I haven't been a Cowboys fan forever. So for me, it's the trio in the 90s. And then also for me, like Dion. But other than that, I love the list. I'm glad you had Emmett first.
Yeah.
That was back when running backs were still important and still used and still loved. And not, you'd have a hard time convincing me that there's too many running backs better ever than Emmitt Smith. So,
that's what pushes them to the top, because it's like you can't talk about running backs without talking about Emmett. You can get on quarterbacks and go a country mile, and their names get thrown in there, but it's look left, look right, you got 50,000 yards. So
perfect. Well, Biz, we want to thank you again for coming on. Hopefully we'll make this a regular thing. Ideally, we're going to get this figured out with our internet and the technical issues.
Man.
We are trying a new system with this, so to enhance. It's done everything but enhance the experience today. But we do like having our ticker, and we'll get this figured out. Dude, again, can't thank you enough. Any last thoughts before we roll off here?
Choke up a bit, and that you got the club way too long, man. It's been a blast, man. I gotta get a little bit more skill around what happens when the cameras go dark. Because the first one, I was just
ramble about sports, man. You did great. We appreciate you.
Are we still live? But no, it's been a blast. Yeah. I was like, this is just me in the car.
Find us on Instagram.
Just go off.
Come find us on X at Shovick Sports. Find the audio on Apple, Spotify, or iHeart.
Yeah.
We are doing a busy week. We'll be back Wednesday with our normal show. We're going to do draft breakdowns for offense. So we'll be doing position by position offensive draft prospects. We were pretty accurate on this last year, so I don't know if we can do it 2 years in a row. Hopefully we can. And then Saturday, we're going to do defensive prospects. for the draft, and we're going to have everything broken down for you guys. So again, much thank you to Biz. Thank you. We'll get you on here again. To everyone else, find us on the socials, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you guys next week. Or Wednesday, actually.
Yeah.
Damn.
Next episode.
I'm so used to saying next week.
Go Cowboys.